What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. A few days ago, I get this email from brother Jack Smith, and it relates to this video on TikTok. So I click on the link and I go over there, and this is a particular sister. It looks like she is in the United Kingdom, and she's a British accent for sure, but definitely she has roots in Africa. Now, before I kind of get into her video, I want to talk about what I've seen on social media in the last 7 years after being a content creator here on the platform. There's a lot of people who direct a lot of the feminist anger towards black men, as if black men are oppressing black women. You see it with content creators here on YouTube or whatever, and there's a lot of animosity towards black men, as if black men control policies, or as if black men have a lot of say in the government, as if black men are really oppressing black women in the United States. And it's really something that comes, or it stems from white feminist culture. And really, a lot of black women have, not all of them, but some have really bought into it. And that anger has been directed towards black men in America. And not only that, black men in the Western world. You know, there's the black men in the UK getting heat, black men in Ireland, things like that. But I want you guys to listen to this video. And then after that, I'm going to come back, and then we're going to go ahead and give some particular points to it.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Now, a lot of you aren't going to like this one, but feminism. Now, let me speak. As a black African woman, how have I somehow been roped into this fight against my own men, who, number one, were never in a place of power to oppress me in the West? And if I trace my roots back to my African lineage, African men in our own traditions and cultures did not oppress African women. Doing your research before colonization, that was not our culture, and therefore it's not our history, but somehow it's now our fight. And now we have such a chaotic, broken family system that is literally just creating more broken women and more broken men. When I read about women's suffrage and women wanting to be able to vote and work, it doesn't resonate with me because black women were always working. In my opinion, it allowed white women to hide from the anger of black women.
So guys, you heard what she had to say, and it was very eloquently put. A lot of sisters are mad over on TikTok at this particular young lady for good reason. And the reason is she's right. When it comes to black women talking about black men oppress them, the way I want to know is how, black men historically have not oppressed black women. In fact, if you look at the continent of Africa, if you look at West Africa, a lot of the markets were ran by women. It was a lot of equality between men and women relationships. She used to have another video where a lot of black women were queens and can do things irrespective of what the king demanded. You had women who ruled armies. And you also saw that sort of equality even in black communities to a certain extent. Now, what happened at some point, the mindset that some black men adopted in the system of patriarchy, to a certain point, that was also an issue as far as how we see each other and how we see our people. But even in the black community, it wasn't a whole lot of, from what people really say, men dominating over black America as it is. And if you talk about the last 50 years, we can't even say that, right? In the last 50 to 60 years, what have you seen? You've seen more black women going to college than black men. You've seen more women progress into leadership roles in companies over black men. You've seen black women have more industries around them. You've seen them have more blogs. You've seen them have more media. You've seen them have everything over black men. Yet, these two groups are divided against each other, and it's a trick. Like the animosity that black women and black men have for one another, it's a trick. It doesn't need to be there because that's not our fight. And I think that the sister is definitely right. And the whole trick is for people in Black America and the Black community worldwide, to be mad at each other all the time, us versus them, our women versus the men. And ultimately, we've seen what happens with that. Everybody suffers. When we talk about economics in Black America, we talk about our spending power. Well, do you want to know why we don't have stuff? Because there's no unity. You can't make money and you can't do things without a community. You can't do anything. You can't provide for your people. You can't create businesses. You can't reinvest in businesses. You can't reinvest in the infrastructures of businesses. You can't, donate to people for school loans. You can't ruse. I'm talking about scholarships. You can't do anything that other communities can do because you're infighting in the group, and so ultimately you can't do anything, and that's what happens. The kids suffer. Women suffer more, especially right now. If you look at what's going on with the inflation rates. You look at Black wealth going towards zero. And even if you're a woman and you make $80,000 and $90,000 a year and you live in a big city like New York City, you live in Los Angeles. What is that? That's nothing. And you're working on your own. You don't have any chance to even have any wealth because there's no family behind the community. You have all these single talented people by themselves and you don't have anybody coming together to work to do anything. You don't have any kind of building. You don't have any kind of anything. There's no form of the communities doing anything, and it's a trick. Why? And it's unnecessary. She's right. Like this whole feminism thing, really what it does, and I'll just be honest, it keeps Black women more single. And I'm gonna tell you what it does. A lot of white feminists are married. You think they won't put that shit down and go get a husband? These white feminists know who their power comes from. It still comes from men. That give them money, that give them opportunities, that give them funding. And being against your men that are supposed to try to help you, that doesn't make sense. It's like, what? I want to give a shout out to Brother Obsidian Media Network. When he really was the catalyst of the Black Manosphere in the 2015, Black Manosphere 2.0, he wanted to know if Black men could come together and support the content they wanted for themselves financially. And at the time, we didn't know. What we found out was listen, from us came Kevin Samuels, from us came a myriad of guys who do business together, guys that I've actually met because of this community. My whole life's been changed. You know why? Because we're better together than apart. Even with Black men and Black women, we are better together than apart. To be real, we're gonna be honest. We can't even leverage, and some of you guys know what I'm about to say. You have so much talent in the Black female community. We can't even use it for our benefit. We have so much talent in the Black male community. Black women cannot even use it for their benefit. All because of the infighting of feminism, which really ain't our position. If you look at historically in Africa or historically in the Black community, Black men are not trying to oppress women. I mean, you have your few idiots out there, but brothers are not trying to do that. That's not even our culture. It's not even African culture. Now, here in modern Africa now, because of those patriarchal things, sure. But again, those things, the feminist culture, it keeps people divided. And people talk about, what about you manosphere guys? The manosphere wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for the blatant, I will say this, the outright in certain parts hate speech and hatred towards men, it wouldn't even be existing. The manosphere would not even be here. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I already appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at all-time high. I'm out.